these videos from Istanbul. This one is local. The map at the center of this story was drawn in this city in 1513 and sat inside the Topkapi Palace for 400 years before anyone outside the Ottoman world knew it existed. In 1929, a German theologian named Gustav Adolf Deissmann was cataloging old documents at the Topkapi Palace Library in Istanbul. He found something unusual, a fragment of a map drawn on gazelle skin, dated 1513. The map was made by an Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis. It showed the Atlantic Ocean, the coasts of Europe and Africa, the coast of South America, drawn with remarkable accuracy for 1513, just 21 years after Columbus first reached the Americas. And then, at the bottom of the map, there was a coastline, a long, curving coastline, running east to west along the bottom of the world. In 1960, an American cartographer named Charles Hapgood examined the map and made a claim that divided researchers ever since. That southern coastline, he argued, matched the coast of Antarctica. Not Antarctica as it appears today, covered in ice. Antarctica as it would appear if you removed the ice sheet entirely, the actual rock and land beneath. Here's the problem with that. The ice sheet covering Antarctica has been there for at least 6,000 years. The continent wasn't officially discovered until 1820, and the actual coastline beneath the ice, the subglacial topography, wasn't mapped until 1958, using seismic technology that didn't exist in 1513. So how did Piri Reis draw it? That's the question. And I want to be honest with you about where the evidence goes and where it stops. Because this is a story where the map is real, the mystery is real, and the explanations range from lost ancient civilization to it's a coincidence, with serious researchers arguing on both sides. Let's go through it properly, and I'll tell you what I actually think, for what it's worth from someone who lives 2 kilometers from where this map was drawn. The Piri Reis map of 1513 is a fragment, roughly a third of what was originally a much larger map. What survives shows the Atlantic Ocean, with Europe and Africa on the right, and the Americas on the left. For 1513, the American coastline is extraordinarily accurate in places. The eastern coast of South America is rendered with a precision that surprised cartographic historians when they first examined it. Piri Reis had access to information that Columbus's early voyages had not fully documented. He says so himself. In notes written on the map, Piri Reis explains that he compiled it from approximately 20 source maps, some contemporary, some much older. He mentions charts that had once been in the possession of Columbus himself. He describes maps drawn in the time of Alexander the Great. He references sources that no longer exist. That's important. Piri Reis wasn't inventing, he was compiling. The question is what he was compiling from. At the bottom of the map, below South America, there is a continuous landmass running along the lower edge. In Piri Reis's notes, he describes this as a warm region full of snakes and exotic animals. The kind of description that suggests he thought it was connected to South America. This is where Hapgood's 1960 analysis became famous and controversial. Hapgood projected the map onto modern coordinates and argued that the southern landmass matched the outline of Antarctica beneath its ice sheet. He pointed to specific bays, peninsulas, and coastline features that seemed to correspond. The argument made headlines. It also made enemies in the academic world. Here is where careful analysis is required. The southern landmass on the Piri Reis map does not perfectly match ice-free Antarctica. There are significant distortions. The scale is inconsistent. Some features that Hapgood identified as Antarctic landmarks are placed at the wrong longitude. The Drake Passage, the open water between South America and Antarctica, does not appear. The southern landmass connects directly to South America, which is geographically impossible. These are not trivial objections. A map that shows Antarctica requires Antarctica to be where Antarctica actually is. The Piri Reis southern landmass is not consistently in the right place. The honest assessment. The map shows something at the bottom of the world. Whether that something is Antarctica, ice-free or otherwise, or a representation of Tierra del Fuego, or a conventional Terra Australis incognita that medieval cartographers routinely included on maps without having seen it, is genuinely debated. The evidence doesn't cleanly tell us. What is not disputed is the map's quality and accuracy in other respects. The Atlantic coastlines are rendered with a precision that suggests access to good source material. The longitudinal accuracy of the South American coast is particularly striking. What is disputed is the identity and source of the southern landmass, and whether it represents genuine geographical knowledge of a continent that wasn't supposed to be known in 1513. I've looked at the map many times. The southern coastline is striking. I understand why it stopped people. But striking isn't the same as proven, and I want to be careful about that distinction throughout this video. Haji Muhyiddin Piri ibn Haji Mehmed, known as Piri Reis, the Captain Piri, was born around 1470 in Gallipoli, in what is now Turkey. He came from a family of sailors. His uncle, Kemal Reis, was one of the most celebrated Ottoman naval commanders of his era. Piri Reis was not a casual mapmaker. He was a serious cartographer and geographer who spent decades at sea and compiled his knowledge into a major work called the Kitab-i Bahriye, the Book of the Sea, a comprehensive guide to the Mediterranean that described hundreds of ports, currents, and navigation hazards with remarkable detail. He was not drawing from imagination. He was drawing from experience, from his own voyages, from sailors he interrogated, and from maps he collected. The Kitab-i Bahriye is still preserved in Istanbul. There are copies in the Topkapi Palace Library, the same place the 1513 map was found. I find it genuinely extraordinary that this level of geographical knowledge was being systematically compiled in my city at that time. To understand what Piri Reis was doing, you need to understand the world of 1513. It was 21 years after Columbus's first voyage. European knowledge of the Americas was still fragmentary, contested, and rapidly changing. Maps of the New World circulated among Portuguese, Spanish, and Ottoman sailors, not in published form, but as closely guarded navigational secrets. A good map was worth enormous amounts of money and influence. Piri Reis was in a position to collect these maps. The Ottoman Empire was a major maritime power. Its sailors and merchants moved through ports where these charts changed hands. He says in his own notes that he obtained some of his source material from Spanish sailors captured after a naval engagement, prisoners who carried navigational documents. The 1513 map is explicitly a compilation. Piri Reis wasn't exploring himself. He was synthesizing existing knowledge from sources that ranged from contemporary Portuguese charts to documents he described as ancient. Piri Reis served the Ottoman Empire for decades as both a naval commander and a cartographer. He was executed in 1553 or 1554 at approximately 80 years of age by order of the Ottoman government, reportedly for retreating from a naval engagement without authorization. His maps survived. The 1513 map was unknown to the Western world until 1929. The 1528 map, a second larger Piri Reis map that shows part of North America and Greenland, was found in 1956. These are real, historically documented objects. Whatever they show or don't show, they are not forgeries. This is the heart of the mystery. And it's where the evidence becomes genuinely difficult. Piri Reis states in his own annotations that he compiled his map from approximately 20 source maps. He describes some of these sources as ancient, predating the Ottoman era, predating the medieval Islamic world, potentially going back to classical antiquity. We do not have those source maps. They may have been destroyed. They may be buried in archives somewhere. They may have never existed in the form Piri Reis described. It was common practice in this era for cartographers to claim ancient sources as a way of lending authority to their work. The source maps are the key to the Antarctic claim. If Piri Reis had access to documents that accurately showed an ice-free Antarctic coastline, those documents would have to come from a civilization that had surveyed Antarctica before the ice sheet covered it, which, according to mainstream geology, would be at least 6,000 years ago. That is an extraordinary claim, and extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Some researchers, most notably Hapgood, and those who have built on his work, argue that the source maps trace back to a pre-agricultural civilization with advanced geographical knowledge, a civilization that has left no other trace in the archaeological record, a civilization that understood the world's geography at a time when, in the mainstream model, humans were living as hunter-gatherers. This hypothesis connects to broader claims about lost civilizations, Atlantis, a pre-flood culture, the kind of scenario that appears in Graham Hancock's work and similar alternative histories. It is a coherent hypothesis. It is also not supported by any direct physical evidence beyond the maps themselves. We have not found the ruins of this civilization. We have not found their tools, their writing, their genetic signature and ancient DNA. We have not found any other artifact that requires their existence. The maps, if they do show Antarctica, are suggestive. They are not proof. The mainstream explanation for the southern landmass is more straightforward. It isn't Antarctica at all. Medieval and Renaissance cartographers routinely included a large southern landmass on their maps, not because they had surveyed it, but because they believed it must exist. The ancient Greek concept of a southern continent, Terra Australis, was a standard element of medieval European and Islamic geographical theory. A world with large northern landmasses, the reasoning went, must be balanced by large southern landmasses. The southern landmass on the Piri Reis map, in this interpretation, is a conventional representation of this theoretical continent, drawn from source maps that included it as a standard feature, not as a surveyed coastline. The resemblance to ice-free Antarctica on this reading is coincidence, or selective pattern matching by researchers who wanted to see it. For the Antarctic hypothesis, the southern coastline does show features that correspond, in some interpretations, to the subglacial topography of Antarctica. The overall shape and position is broadly consistent in some projections. Against it, the fit is imperfect and depends heavily on which projection you use. The Drake Passage is absent. The scale is inconsistent. The match that Hapgood described has been challenged by subsequent cartographic analysis, and the mundane explanation, conventional Terra Australis, requires no extraordinary assumptions. The honest answer: the evidence does not establish that the Piri Reis map shows Antarctica. It does not rule it out either. We are in genuinely uncertain territory. This is the part of the story I find most interesting and most frustrating. The evidence is real, the questions are legitimate, and the answer is, we don't know. That's not a satisfying place to end up, but it's the honest one. The mainstream academic position on the Piri Reis map is nuanced and worth understanding clearly, because it's often misrepresented in both directions. The map is genuine. It was made in 1513 by a skilled Ottoman cartographer. It contains accurate geographical information about the Atlantic world that is impressive for its date. Piri Reis had access to source maps from multiple navigational traditions, Portuguese, Spanish, and older Islamic and Byzantine charts. His compilation process was sophisticated and systematic. The map contains genuinely interesting puzzles. The accuracy of certain coastlines is striking. The source maps he describes have not been found. The identification of the southern landmass as Antarctica is not accepted by mainstream cartographic historians. The consensus view is that it represents a conventional Terra Australis, the theoretical southern continent that appeared on maps of this period as a matter of geographical theory, not observed fact. Hapgood's analysis has been criticized on methodological grounds. His projection method was selective. He chose a projection that maximized the resemblance to Antarctica. Other projections produce a much weaker match. The features he identified as specific Antarctic landmarks do not consistently appear in the right locations. The claim that the map shows ice-free Antarctica requires either that someone surveyed Antarctica before 6000 BCE, leaving no other trace, or that the resemblance is coincidental and the result of confirmation bias in the analysis. Neither scenario has been definitively ruled out. The mainstream view is simply that the extraordinary claim, a pre-agricultural civilization with Antarctic cartographic knowledge, requires much stronger evidence than a contested resemblance on a 500-year-old map. Here is what I think is actually interesting about the Piri Reis map, independent of the Antarctic controversy. It demonstrates that geographical knowledge circulated in the early 16th century through channels we don't fully understand. Piri Reis had information about the Americas that was not yet in published European maps. He had source documents that have not survived. He was synthesizing knowledge from a network of navigators, Portuguese, Spanish, Ottoman, possibly older, that operated largely outside the official record. The history of early modern geography is full of gaps. There were maps that have been lost, knowledge that was closely guarded, discoveries that were made and not recorded. The Piri Reis map is evidence of that larger story, of the messy, multilingual, politically complicated world of early modern geographical knowledge. That's interesting enough without the Antarctic hypothesis. From Istanbul, where this map was made, that story feels particularly immediate. The Ottoman Empire sat at the intersection of every geographical tradition: European, Islamic, ancient Greek. Piri Reis was in the right place at the right time to compile something extraordinary. Whether he compiled knowledge of Antarctica is the question. That he compiled something remarkable is not in doubt.
Where are the source maps? Piri Reis describes approximately 20 sources. None of them has been found. They may be in archives somewhere, in Istanbul, in Lisbon, in Madrid, in Cairo. They may have been destroyed. The search continues in a limited way, but the Ottoman archives are vast and only partially catalogued. What does the southern landmass actually represent? Better cartographic analysis, using modern computer-assisted projection methods, has been applied to the map with mixed results. The question of whether any particular interpretation of the southern landmass constitutes a match with Antarctic topography depends heavily on methodological choices that researchers continue to dispute. Were there other maps like this? There are other early modern maps that have attracted similar claims. The Oronteus Phineas map of 1531, the Mercator map of 1569. Each of them has been subjected to similar analysis. The pattern of claims and counterclaims repeats. The Piri Reis map touches on something bigger than cartography. It asks, what did ancient and medieval peoples actually know about the world, and how did they know it? The conventional answer is that geographical knowledge accumulated gradually, that each era knew a little more than the previous one, building toward the systematic global knowledge we have today. The Piri Reis map and the broader body of anomalous maps and documents that researchers have examined raises the possibility that this is not the whole story, that there were periods of knowledge, perhaps even cycles of knowledge, that were not fully transmitted. The evidence for this is fragmentary and contested. It is not strong enough to overturn the conventional model, but it is interesting enough to take seriously, to investigate carefully, with the same respect for both evidence and uncertainty that we try to bring to every investigation on this channel. I live in Istanbul. This map was drawn here. The Topkapi Palace, where it was found, is visible from parts of the neighborhood where I work. The Bosphorus, which Piri Reis navigated,
which his uncle Kamal Reis commanded, is a 20-minute walk away. When I research stories like this, the distance between the evidence and the present collapses in a way that doesn't happen when I'm researching the Younger Dryas or the Black Sea flood. This one is local, literally. A map was drawn here in 1513. It showed something at the bottom of the world. We don't know for certain what that something is. The source maps that Piri Reis compiled from have not been found. The southern coastline is still being debated by cartographic historians. The archives of the Ottoman Empire are still being catalogued. The research is still ongoing. The debates are still unresolved. The questions are still open. The investigation continues. If you want to know what the evidence shows next and where it ends, join the excavation.